A Virginia Beach man accused of threatening to kill Congressman Scott Taylor will stay behind bars for now.
Late this afternoon, a judge ruled that Wallace Godwin is a danger to the community. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Allen.
And I'm Janet Roach. 13 News Now reporter Chanu Her is live outside Norfolk Federal Court with the latest.
Well, that's right, guys. The federal judge decided to keep Wallace Godwin in jail at the detention hearing today. The judge says he just can't take a risk and gamble with the public's safety by releasing Godwin on a set of terms and conditions. A federal prosecutor presented evidence detailing a timeline of Godwin's aggressive behavior towards Congressman Scott Taylor over the last year, which included Godwin allegedly threatening to shoot the congressman. What was new in court today that we learned was that last month, Godwin also called Scott Taylor's office and allegedly threatened to kill Virginia Beach Mayor Will Sessoms because he was upset over road conditions in the city. The judge said Godwin's behavior is obsessive and escalating, therefore he will not release Godwin. His wife, his niece, and a family friend were in court today, but they didn't have much to say when they left. What did you think about the judge's decision? What about you, ma'am? What are your thoughts on the decision? Now, another big piece that came up in court today is Godwin's history, health history. That's physical and mental health history. We will bring you that details, all of those details, coming up at 13 News Now at 6 o'clock. Live in Norfolk, Chanu Her, 13 News Now.
A terrifying attack in Virginia Beach. A man says a police dog bit his 13-year-old neighbor. It happened Sunday night on Claiborne Place, and we want to warn you, photos of the boy's wounds are disturbing. 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd is live in the neighborhood. And Robert, officers were after a burglary suspect, but the neighbor says they got the wrong person.
Yeah, and you can all blame it on basically a hooded sweatshirt. The suspect they were looking for and this 13-year-old both wearing similar hooded sweatshirts, and that's where at least some of the confusion began. And witnesses say it all happened so fast. The 13-year-old was here at this house Sunday evening, had just left the front porch when all of a sudden he was on the ground being bitten by a police dog while the police officer was holding him up at gunpoint. And once again, we want to remind you, some of the pictures you're about to see are graphic.
They were on their knees with their hands up, just shaking, like not knowing what to do.
It was in his own front yard where Stephen Keck watched as his 13-year-old and 9-year-old neighbors were held at gunpoint by a police officer Sunday night.
I yelled, "What's going on?" And the police officer said that there was a home invasion. And I said, "No, it's not them. He was just in my house. He was just in my house playing games." Like they were, let him go.
Virginia Beach police had mistaken the 13-year-old as a suspect in a burglary just a block away. Police say the boy was ordered to stop and tried to run away, so they released the canine. But Keck says that's not what he saw.
He had only gotten like 12 steps off of my porch to the to a volleyball net, so he wasn't moving fast. He was just walking home. Like he was just literally walking from my house over to his house.
The boy's family says the dog ended up biting the boy 4 different times as he tried to fight the German Shepherd off. Eventually, the officer realized he had made a mistake.
He had said, "We may have the wrong suspect," or something about not the right suspect, something like that. And then I said, "I'm coming to him." And so I went down off of the porch and grabbed the boy and kind of pulled him back because he was on his leg. And he said, "He bit me on my leg. He bit me on my leg."
Virginia Beach police are investigating the incident. The victim's family attorney is also looking into the case, specifically why the officer left the scene before the boy's parents even got there.
And as my wife left to go get, they live right across the street, left to go get the parents, all he said was, "We called EMS," and he left.
Now, as for this 13-year-old's condition, his dad did speak with us off camera and said he did miss school today and he is on crutches, but the good news is he's expected to make a full recovery. Live in Virginia Beach, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
Cargo truck drivers are speaking out about lost wages at the Port of Virginia. Drivers tell 13 News Now they can wait anywhere from 2 to 5 hours per trip. The port says ideally it should take drivers around 45 minutes. Drivers say part of the issue is that there are not enough chassis. They say the extra wait time is cutting into their productivity and into their wallets.
If I had made 3 trips in and out, That's $75 each way. Sitting here all day for one box cuts out all the other trips.
The drivers took their concerns to the port's board meeting this morning. Port of Virginia CEO John Reinhardt says they are ordering 800 new chassis and implementing truck reservation times at Virginia International Gateway this summer. He's hoping this helps to ease congestion.
Happening now, the city of Virginia Beach is making a third push for a new runway at Norfolk International Airport. The concerns how the project would impact travelers and the United States Navy. 13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee is live near the airport. And Jacqueline, what's the city asking for here?
Janet, in order to add an additional runway right over there, the city of Virginia Beach is requesting a joint land use study. What that study will do is examine the impacts of adding that runway, and it'll also spark discussions between key stakeholders. And those stakeholders include the Navy, the Norfolk Airport Authority, the city of Virginia Beach, and the city of Norfolk. As planes whiz in and out at Norfolk International Airport, Virginia Beach City Manager Dave Hansen thinks there can be some improvements.
As it is now, it costs you about an extra $300 to fly anywhere so that you can fly to somewhere else. So making Norfolk a larger destination airport for well over 1.7 million people that are here in Hampton Roads is pretty important.
So he and the Norfolk Airport Authority are proposing to change the runway's current cross configuration to add an additional commercial runway.
That creates an intersecting type of geometry, and that is inherently hazardous just because of the speed of aircraft. So what we're looking to do is to replace a cross runway with a parallel runway.
But there's a problem, several of them. The Navy is concerned if that runway is built, it'll affect the training of the special warfare community and the placement of its ships.
It's not going to work if the Navy can't get comfortable with it.
So Hansen and Admiral Craig Quigley with the Navy want a joint land use study. It'll examine the impact of that parallel runway, but they first need funding from the Department of Defense.
We figure that we'll at least come to a determination of acceptability, whether it is or is not acceptable for continuing military operations.
And this will be the third time the city of Virginia Beach and the Norfolk Airport Authority will be pursuing this project. So what will be different this time? I'll let you know coming up on 13 News Now at 6. Live in Norfolk, Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
City of Norfolk continues to fight back against a plan to bring a solid waste facility to the Bruce's Park neighborhood. Several leaders are against the plant, worried it would bring unwanted traffic, smell, and noise to the area. Councilwoman Angela Graves has accused the company behind the proposal of going to the Department of Environmental Equality without the city's knowledge. Tonight, Council will discuss a resolution stating that the facility is not allowed.
Also tonight, the future of Huntington Middle School students could finally be decided. Newport News School Board is expected to vote on a rezoning proposal. It outlines where Huntington students will go while crews replace the aging building. The proposal would send current students to their own wing at Heritage High School. Incoming students would go to Crittenden or Hines Middle School. And we'll let you know how the vote goes tonight.
Hampton School Board is running out of time to approve its budget for next year. By state law, it has to be done by April 1st. Tomorrow, the board will meet to hear comments and vote on the $201 million spending plan. It includes 2% raises for most staff members, but cuts dozens of positions. That meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. at 1819 Nickerson Boulevard.
The Farm Fresh deals are starting. The grocery chain announces offering as much as 30% off store-wide. This as its parent company prepares to sell locations in Virginia and North Carolina. 18 supermarkets are participating in the discounts. There's a full list on 13newsnow.com. Earlier this month, Super Value announced it would sell most of its Farm Fresh stores to Harris Teeter, Kroger, Mid-Atlantic, and Food Lion, and that should be done by May.
New at 5, a Hampton Roads mom is making her mark, taking action against senseless violence. It comes 3 months after her son was killed by a coworker in an apparent murder-suicide. 13 News Now anchor Erin LeBeau has the tragic yet inspirational story.
For Shayna Turner, the pain of losing her son Shaq is still very real.
Not even knowing what happened to my son, I knew he was gone.
3 months after his murder, she still doesn't know why he was targeted.
I couldn't sleep that night. and still had like no answers on why, what happened.
Here's video from the scene as Shaq Turner was driving down Northampton Boulevard near Military Highway in Norfolk on his way to pick up his fiancée.
I still speak about him as if he's here. It's easier to cope that way.
But he never made it. Police say he was gunned down in a murder-suicide by Dwight Walker Jr. You can see these pictures of Shaq's car riddled with bullet holes. Police say this happened after his car was crashed into. But the bizarre thing about all of this is that Shayna says Dwight and Shaq worked for the same company, but they did not know each other.
I really don't know what he saw in my son that made him want to do this to him.
Now she's taking the pain of losing her son and turning it into a way to help others. Along with others, they've created HR Mask, which stands for Hampton Roads Mothers Against Senseless Killings, a support group for those who have lost a loved one. And Shayna may never know why her son was killed, but she finds a little peace in what he meant to others.
He was loved by people. Just continue what he wanted you to do and be successful.
I'm Erin E. LeBeau, 13 News Now.